Are you a prepper or homesteader looking to connect with like-minded people in your area? Looking to start your own preparedness group? Already have a group? Well, look no further than PrepperNet. PrepperNet is dedicated to personal responsibility, individual freedoms, and being self-reliant. PrepperNet has monthly meetings in over 100 cities where you can meet and learn with like-minded people in your area. PrepperNet, where preppers unite. Find us online at preppernet.com.
Survive, thrive, stay alive. It's time to get prepared with the Prepping Academy podcast.
Hey, welcome to the Prepping Academy. I am Forrest. We have Tenderfoot across the table, live in the house. We're coming to you from the big headquarters of Charlotte, North Carolina. We're going to have an unbelievable guest tonight. His name is Franklin Horton. He's an author, real guy. You're going to get to meet him. But yeah, he's on the line. But anyway, Tenderfoot, how was your week?
It has been excellent. It just started.
Well, guys, we have had so many technical issues tonight. I'm going to just we use a service called Blog Talk Radio, and they have completely screwed me over tonight or just messed up. And we couldn't do it live so people can listen to us. But Franklin Horton, he's from Virginia. He's the real deal. He is an author of a book series called The Borrowed World. He also has written a series called Locker 9, and I'm reading right now his latest book called Random Acts. And I'm about an hour into that book. I'm listening to it. But Franklin and I spent some time a couple weekends ago at Heritage Life Skills. Franklin, are you with us?
Yes, sir, I am with you. It's good to be on your show again. I appreciate you having me.
Again tonight because of technical difficulties, or again in general? Either one. Oh my goodness, Franklin, you're gonna hate me forever for this.
Yeah, thank you for being so graceful.
And just think, we got a bunch of more authors to go through because we're gonna do the Dirty Dozen, a bunch of them folks. But anyway, Franklin, it is awesome to have you. You know I'm a big fan. Except you're mad at me because I haven't read the Locker 9 series.
Well, no, I'm not really mad at you. I'm just publicly shaming you into reading it.
That is awesome.
That's what he does to me all the time. So,
but
it comes back on you.
I'm reading the Random Acts, which is your latest book. I'm maybe an hour or so into it. Maybe not even that far. The girl and the father are just now having a come to Jesus talk. So it's probably in the beginning, maybe the first hour.
Yeah, that's the early stages of that story.
Yeah, and so I'm getting into that, and I thought I was going to listen to it today on my way to Asheville, but I had a guest that was riding with me the whole time. But Franklin and I was at Heritage Life Skill, and it is awesome these events, Franklin, because you and the other authors, people can come up and talk to you, ask you questions, you get your photos with you, your autograph. And there was a bunch of authors there this time, and you guys have kind of labeled yourself the Dirty Dozen 12 or something. What is it called? The DD12?
Yeah, the DD12 is about cross-promoting our books because as independent authors, we don't have marketing teams, we don't have agents, we don't have publishers, so it's really important for us to be able to promote our books through other authors. Because one of the things we do is we try to find authors who write similar books and have a following. And we found this out early on, that when you start losing sales, when your numbers start dropping, you go to another author who writes in your genre, and you're like, hey, I'll promote your book if you'll promote mine, and that way we'll pick up some new readers. So the DD12 is a group of 12 authors who all write this post-apocalyptic prepper-type fiction, and we all cross-promote our books together, and we have a Facebook group that has about 3,700 members where people can interact. with each other and with us, and ask questions and learn about new releases. And it's just taken on a life of it's own and turned into a pretty exciting community.
Oh yeah, the Facebook group gets some serious action on there. I've noticed that. And these I like the idea of cross promotion. Like I said earlier, when I actually did say earlier, if I read all your books, I could read all your books in a month, and then I'm done I'm waiting on every single book, and that's why the cross promotion. It'd be cool if y'all cross promote some characters.
Well, that would be interesting. And we've talked about writing some books together, but nobody's actually done it yet.
Yeah.
But Steve Bird and Angry American and I have kind of joked about writing a survival fiction story together where we're all at a convention together and the apocalypse happens and we have to work our way out of it.
And you have your different versions. Oh, that would be pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and you draw straws for who gets to kill each other off.
Yeah. Yeah, sweet.
Nice.
So I know that I tell people, I said earlier that you're the real deal, and I mean that because I remember you grew up on a farm or out in the country, and kind of prepping was not called prepping. It was kind of a way of life at the time you were growing up, and that's important because what you write about, and and that's a lot of genres. I mean, there are people writing love stories never been in love. I mean, let's just be real. But you are the real deal. You grew up this way. You live. You always make me mad because you post these beautiful photos on Facebook of you got your feet out with a beer by the fire, beautiful sunset, and it's like you're living this as well. Correct?
Well, yeah. I've talked to you about this before, but my grandparents on both sides of my family are like those hillbillies you see in the movies that kind of live on these steep mountainside farms with like some scrawny ass cow and chickens and all that business, And that's how they lived. And my grandmother never drove, and they just lived simple lives, and that's kind of the way we grew up. We didn't really have a farm, but we lived way out in the country and just tried to, be able to take care of ourselves and be able to keep going when the power went out. And, we lived in a place where we could go hunting anytime we wanted and fishing anytime we wanted. And, that's a good way to live. And that's kind of the way I like to live right now, is to live out in the country where I'm by myself. I can shoot when I want to. We try to live in a place that we can sustain ourselves for a period of time if the worst happens. So we do try to, live the way we talk in our books.
And that's awesome because people, when they meet you, they really do meet a guy and they understand that you are the real deal. You kind of you preach what you teach, or you live you live what you preach, I guess. Like even at Heritage Life Skills, you taught a class, which is cool because I know a year ago when I was reading the Borrowed World series. It's a great story. This guy, he's separated from his family, and he gets straightened. Then the crap hits the fan, and she has a book that he put together that it's step by step on what to do when he's gone. Get the radio out, turn it to this frequency. I mean, everything step by step. And come on now, Franklin, show me some love here. At Heritage Life Skills, I showed you some photos that I was creating that book, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You really did show me those photos.
Yeah, and so I'm taking photos of like how to cut off the gas at my house, how the well works, how to turn the power on, how to connect the generator to it. So I am creating that. It takes a long time to do that, but Franklin, he wrote that in his book, and that's kind of one of the biggest takeaways I've gotten from a book in a while.
Well, and see, I could see that when I was talking to my family about those kind of things, about how to keep the house going with no power whatever, that their eyes were kind of glazing over and they weren't really listening anymore. So it hit me that I was going to have to write this down in a single place that they could get to it. And that at work, I had to do the same thing because I'm a facility manager in my day job. So I was often having to write these manuals for people about how to operate a building. So I decided I'm just going to do this at home, too. I'm going to write my family a manual, and they can follow it, and it'll tell them how to run the generator, how to, get water, where the spare mags are, whatever.
That's awesome. This I know I have not been able to speak, but here's Tenderfoot.
So I'm so excited, man. This is Franklin Horton on the show, man. Sorry. Yeah, Tenderfoot is here. Sorry about that.
But, I mean, hearing this and getting to know you before we started the show, one of the things that I've wondered, because, you're living it, you're teaching it, you're writing about it, you grew up doing some of this stuff. Has anything through your writing changed you as a prepper, or anything that you do? I mean, just like what Forrest is bringing up there, that just sounds awesome. I'm just wondering, how has it changed you, if anything?
It goes back and forth. At one time, the way that you live is influencing your books, and then at other times, your books are influencing your life because you write out a scenario in a book and you realize, oh, well, there's a major shortcoming in my own skills or my own preparations, and you didn't realize you had that shortcoming until you write this book, and it shows you how critical, like in my own case, my communication plan. I'm not an amateur radio operator, but I wrote a scene where a guy just was completely in a horrible situation because he did not have the ability to find out what was happening outside of his own neighborhood. So through writing the books, I've realized a lot of my own shortcomings. But early on, it was a process of, I was making a trip from my home to Richmond, Virginia twice a month, and it was 325 miles each way. So it was during a time when a lot of crazy things were happening in the world. It was, and the thing that influenced me was Hurricane Katrina, because I was a backpacker at the time, and I thought, well, I'm going to take my backpack with me on these trips, and if the worst happens, then I'm just going to hoof it home on the Appalachian Trail, and I'm not going to be one of those people like you saw in the Superdome who were stuck there, having to depend on the government to save them. So I just started taking my backpack, and that kind of evolved into this series of books. It all emerged from that one trip that I had to make twice a month for several years.
Yep. Wow. Well, another question for you, because I have got some questions. Tenderfoot's just making them up as he goes. I've been prepared for weeks on this.
He keeps taking my paper, by the way.
No, I don't. So, a question is, do you feel there's some responsibility? Because, you've actually opened people's eyes to some new ideas when it comes to prepping and preparedness. Is there any responsibility you feel that you're making a difference in people's lives, and now you're even teaching classes? Does that give you some? You feel like you got responsibility now? You feel like you're making an impact on people's lives more than just being an author? You're actually changing the way people think.
Yeah, in my books, in fiction in general, I think a lot of people want books to be dramatic. So they write things that are dramatic and they'll look good on paper. But I think it's really important for people to examine scenarios, because the thing that I see as a value in this type of fiction is that it allows you to mentally explore a scenario and try to understand it, how you individually would respond to that. So, if I throw out some situation there and you see how the character deals with it, that's an opportunity for you to explore in your own personal values or your own morality, how you would have dealt with that situation were you faced with it. But I think there's an importance to show the scenario realistically. The characters in my books don't jump out and do backflips and start throwing knives at people, and they misfire, and they have adrenaline dumps where they're shaking and flipped out and wondering if they've made the right decision, and they second guess themselves, and they have doubts, and they suffer and they worry, and they know that they've made bad calls a lot of times, and they experience guilt, and it doesn't paint a pretty picture of the world, because it's not supposed to be a pretty picture. It's supposed to be a realistic picture.
Oh, I know. In one of your books, I read it may be the first one in the Borrowed World series, where this one guy. I mean, I don't want to give it away, but there's a guy. I'll say special needs guy that. Man, it just bugs me what you did to that character. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. I just don't want to give it away. But that is real life, though.
Yeah, people face these decisions in a scenario like that, and people have. It's like in New Orleans, nurses who euthanized patients. People face hard decisions, and if this collapse event or any type of collapse event that was going to be protracted occurred, people would be facing those calls with their own terminally ill family members, with their, parents who might be elderly and unable to live without assistance. There are a lot of tough situations people would be dealing with, and so I throw those tough situations out there because I want people to think about all the possibilities.
Well, that brings me to my question. With the readers that you meet, okay, with all that you just said, and you're having conversations with them, like Heritage Life Skills, other places, and they get to meet you. In those conversations, would you have any tips or suggestions just to our listeners? Anything that you could give to them? Just some good information, because you're like, what, this is something that keeps reoccurring. They're reading this. It may be a reaction, like Forrest is saying here, and they're not thinking about these things. What is some takeaways during those conversations you like to provide for your readers?
I think the biggest thing that people come up to me or email me about is realizing their vulnerability in the short situations. Like, they may be prepared at home, but do they take a get-home bag with them to work? Or do they, when they go on a short trip that is so casual they don't even think about, something bad happening, do they take things with them? Because you look at a situation like these ice storms that, hit in Atlanta a couple of years ago and stranded people close to home, but they were still stuck on the road for a long time. Yep. Those little things, thinking about just like that's one of the things that came to me from writing these books, is I realized, I prepare myself on the long trips, but I don't prepare myself as well for the short trip to work every day. So I ended up changing the entire way that I approached my commute and what I took with me each day, just because of writing these books, and realized, well, this is a big vulnerability here that I'm seeing in my own situation.
Okay, that brings to question number 7 I have written down.
Funny how that works.
Yeah, hey, I'm skipping a couple, but what's in your EDC and how has it changed over time?
It changes constantly. It's a ever evolving situation, but I'm a believer in a knife, a fire source. I believe in carrying a little pocket flashlight with you. And once I started carrying that flashlight, it was amazing to me how many opportunities presented themselves to use that flashlight. But I also have one of those shoulder type bags that I take with me every day that has enough food, water, weather protection to get me home from work, because I know I work 24 miles from my home. It's flat road. I can do 24 miles in a long day or 2 short days, so I have exactly what I need to make that trip. One of the things that I also have added to that, meeting people like our friend Skinny Medic and Alan Kay has really reinforced on me the importance of carrying a tourniquet with you every day.
Yeah.
And that's something I've added to my kit that I don't leave the house without.
Yep. If you carry a gun, you got to have a tourniquet, at least for yourself. Hey, but once I started carrying a flashlight, I think is at the time that I realized that I'm losing my eyesight. Maybe it's just getting older, because a flashlight comes in handy all the time now. So that's
just you. That's not me.
And so, and he carries a smartphone because he realizes he's losing his mind.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. Yeah. Okay, go back to question number 5. What is your favorite book?
Hey, let's take a quick break. Are you a prepper or homesteader looking to connect with like-minded people in your area? Looking to start your own preparedness group? Already have a group? Well, look no further than PrepperNet. PrepperNet is dedicated to personal responsibility, individual freedoms, and being self-reliant. PrepperNet has monthly meetings in over 100 cities where you can meet and learn with like-minded people in your area. PrepperNet, where preppers unite. Find us online at preppernet.com.
Probably the guy that wrote No Country for Old Men was Cormac McCarthy. And he wrote a Western called Blood Meridian that is just one of the most graphic, disturbing books about the West that anybody has ever written. And part of what I like about it is it takes away all the glamour of what people thought the West may have been. They've romanticized the West, and he writes about the real West of 1840 and how, horrible and violent a place it was, but it makes for a really good book. And that's kind of the way I think post-apocalyptic fiction should be. It shouldn't be that this whole situation is glamorized, because it's going to be rough, it's going to be nasty, it's going to be disgusting, and there's going to be hard choices. So that's the way I think these books should be written, which is to reveal that it's not going to be, some camping trip that just goes on forever and ever.
Right. Okay.
Have you met those who are non-preppers, and because of you, or maybe they got to meet you and they wanted to read one of your books and read your books, and you seen any changes with that? Maybe they became preppers.
I hear from people like that all the time, and to the effect of several a week who send emails or Facebook messages, and a lot of times it's somebody I may have known for 20 years who decided to read my book just because they knew me from work or knew me from school or whatever, and they're like, hey, I never realized I was completely unprepared, even for an ice storm, until I read this book. So that's pretty cool when that happens.
It is.
That is cool. Okay, here's a serious question, number 6. Number 6, rock, paper, or scissors?
My daughter asks me to play this game all the time, and I suck at it because I just don't understand the logic of it.
But you got to pick one.
That's what she says, and I don't pick any.
Oh, my word. Okay, well, number 6
What do you pick?
I pick rock.
You pick rock.
Because statistically, rock is actually picked more than any other one. I'm just telling you.
So you're just being a follower?
Yep, I guess so.
I picked scissors because I totally thought you were going really deep with this question.
No, I don't get deep, man. Come on, you know me better than that. Oh, so didn't you go to another show after Heritage Life Skills? No,
I was talking about going to PrepperCon in Utah, but I'd made another trip out west about a month ago, 4,400 miles. So my traveling out west was wore out.
Wore out, yeah. I bet it's tough going to show and telling people how good you are and buy your book and let me sign my autograph. I know. Photos and people buying you dinner.
Hey, well, the first trip out west was just a vacation kind of thing, but, you know, the trip to Utah, that's from here, that's a long haul.
Yeah, yep. So, so at Heritage Life Skills, you taught a class about putting the notebook together. What kind of ideas can you give our listeners about putting the notebook together? And you put it. I mean, that is. I'm not going to say that's what you're known for, but you are teaching that class. And what kind of ideas do you have for people to put in that and to get started? Because it takes a long time to do it.
I think that it's easy for people to see this as a monumental project, and that makes it hard for people to get started because they think it's too big. But I think what people should do is buy a large 3-ring binder and some of those vinyl sheet protectors, which are the clear plastic 3-ring sheets that you put in there, and they're open at the top.
Right.
So you just slide stuff down the sleeve. And I think what you do is you say, okay, I'm going to start from this point forward, putting things in there, and then as I have time, I'm going to go back and add things. But I think it's important to include, you know, instruction manuals, like, you know, pages from your generator manual about how to start the generator. But, you know, I also think it's important to include those things that we may not have access to in an emergency situation, like, you know, a Google map that shows an overview of your area where you can mark, you know, the things that are in different buildings around you.
Right.
And because that kind of area intelligence, I mean, I know you've met Sam Culper before.
Oh, yes. Yep.
From Forward Observer. He talks a lot about building your own in area intelligence. And I think that's really important because, you know, those are things that you may not be able to access down the road. One of the things that I've added to my class that I didn't talk about the previous years was printing out like your local sex offender registry.
Oh.
So you have that information in your binder because that way you know which people that if they come knocking at the door to be part of your recovery effort, you don't include those people.
Or you can go hunting.
Sorry. Exactly. Yeah. But, I mean, that's information that may not be at your fingertips depending on what type of disaster you're facing. So include an area intelligence section in your binder. But I think it's practical things like manuals, also labeling your valves in your house. You know, when you're down under the house or you're trying to tell your wife over the phone how to shut the water off because it's pouring out a ceiling, you know, it's sometimes hard for people to spot those valves, but you can buy tags at Home Depot that you put on those valves that label them and make them easy to spot. You can also use your smartphone to take pictures and print those out or, you know, write labels on them saying, this is the valve, this is what it looks like. This is the breaker that turns everything off in the house. This is what it looks like. This is what it looks like on. This is what it looks like off.
It does take time. I've started taking the photos, started putting it in the book, but you keep mentioning this intelligence thing. I'm really not comprehending that.
Hence the smartphone comment earlier.
Yeah. Okay. You're stopping me wanting to ask a question. Go.
No, well, actually, I just want to make a statement.
Okay.
Is that, you know, one of the things that I am learning from Forrest, I'm learning even doing these shows and reading these books, because I'm catching up on reading these books here, and is that it makes you a better prepper. And so I want to say thank you, but also, you know, is that something that you found true yourself, that, hey, people reading these books, reading my books, reading, you know, others' books, you know, it's making them a better prepper?
Well, it's like I mentioned earlier about this whole mindset thing. I think that when people read these books, they put themselves in the situation of the characters, and it allows you to kind of test drive your own preps. You can look at the situations that these characters are in, and you think, well, do I have these resources available to me, or would I be able to better manage this situation because I've paid more attention to this particular area of my preparations? I mean, I look at these books as a mental test drive of your own situation to see, like I said, where your shortcomings are, because that's how I've found a lot of gaps in my own either training or preparations, was through creating these characters and writing them into a situation where I realized, oh man, that would be a problem for me.
Definitely.
Right. Yeah. So I got a choice for you. Who's your favorite DD12? I'm kidding.
Well, yeah, that kind of puts me on the spot.
Just a little bit. I'm just kidding on that. So you just released another book, and it's called Random Acts. Is this going to be a one book, or is this going to be into a series, or?
This is a single book deal. This is just a thriller that is a standalone, one book. You read it, you're done.
Okay. Well, that's good to know now that I'm reading it.
Yeah, when you're done, you're done. You don't have to wait for the next one.
Yeah, well, I showed you we were at Heritage Life Skills, and I went up to him and I had his books in my cart to buy because I haven't bought the Locker 9 series, and now I own them, and I own Random Act. Well, I'm listening to that. So, and we didn't speak about this and this recording time, but I got to meet Kevin Pierce, which was there. I mean, live in person. I mean, I've listened to, I would say, 30 books that he's written. Not written, but he has voiced. Narrated, yes. And that was cool for him to be there, and for people to actually, they get to meet you and buy your books, and then they get to meet Kevin, the guy that brings your books to life.
Yeah, that was really cool, because there were people who would come up and ask to buy a book, and they would say, I want a hard copy, but I listen to them all on audio. I just love Kevin Pierce. And I would have the opportunity to say, well, that's him right there.
Right
and go
there,
introduce him. Yeah, because he had a blast with that, because he doesn't often get to meet his listeners. He doesn't go to a lot of these kind of things. So this was a lot of fun for him, because not only does he do my books, but he's done several other DD12 authors' books. So this was a good opportunity for him to meet folks and, shake hands and, exercise his voice, because they all like to hear his voice.
Yes, and matter of fact, I just finished a book just before Heritage Life Skill. It was Mark Goodwin's book, his latest one, Ava, I think is the name of it. And it drove me nuts, because as soon as I turn it, I play. I mean, every book he's ever done was Kevin Pierce, and then I hit play, and it's a woman. And I'm like, whoa! Is this the right book? But it's a first person woman, and she's really good. But anyway, yeah, it was exciting to see all you got your authors there. Y'all had a good time, and I didn't hear about your partying, but I know there was some definitely partying going on. Every time you go somewhere in the Carolinas, though, it rains the first night you're there. I know it does.
Yeah, it seems to be our experience, but at least it didn't rain every night
right.
this year.
Yep, but it seems like every time, the first night of prepper camp or first night of Heritage Life Skill, it always rains, and they always camp out together. And so,
yeah, and a lot of those guys I've hung out with before, Chris Weatherman, who writes as Angry American, and Steve Bird and I, we've been to many places together and have shut down many fine establishments around the country. So we have a good time hanging out together.
Okay, so next question is, and usually I don't prepare these questions. This is crazy.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I don't know. I always get excited when
it's because he stole my questions.
No, I did not. But my next question is, Donald Trump came and he's saving America. We don't even really need to prep or get ready for rough times, because Donald Trump is here to save us, protect us all. because of all that happened, that's sarcasm. By the way, what do you see now as lining up? I mean, have you taken EMP out of the equation now that we're with good friends with North Korea and Donald and the North Korean guy gonna have lunch together or something? I mean, what do you see? What do you see going on now? What's Franklin's?
I have never been. EMP has never been number one on my list because I accept the possibility that could happen, but I have just always been more concerned about the slow collapse and the slow erosion of our rights, and just this slow overtaking of our country and our way of life by whoever it is that's doing it at the time. So that concerns me more because people don't see it happening. If an EMP occurs, that's instant and that's life-changing. But when your rights are stolen and when your way of life is just stripped right out from underneath you, and it's done gradually, you don't always notice that happening. And that's what's happening to us now.
And I think that's one of the worst-case scenarios when you can't, because of slow economic collapse it's kind of like the frog in the boiling water. He doesn't realize, he doesn't know when, even if he could jump out, he doesn't know when the right time to jump out is.
And that's the constant. That's the constant question. Is you just don't know.
Right, and so to me, that's always a scary scenario. As I look at Tenderfoot and his brain is working, trying to come up with a question, which is really hard for him. he asked the same questions on every show, but no, I'm kidding. Are your family members involved in this? Are they on board, or are they just like whatever?
Actually, my kids have gone with us to prepper camp each time, and they absolutely love it. They fully buy in. My daughter is 13 though, and she buys in the same way any 13-year-old girl kind of buys into it, which is sarcastically. But my wife is on board with this. We just, they all love to shoot. They all love living out in the country. They all accept that. That comes with a certain amount of responsibility of taking care of yourself. And I don't have any issues with feeling like they're not on board with me. Right.
And they don't think you're the crazy father that made them move out in the country that...
No, because they've always lived that way.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so, they think nothing of wandering around outside and dark and going camping. And I mean, when my kids were 2 years old, they were drug out on kayaking trips and camping trips, and we take long camping trips. I think that the first long one I took them on was like 21 days.
Holy moly!
Yeah, so they have roughed it.
Right. Well, I got an announcement. It looks like Tenderfoot has a profound question.
Actually, my profound question is for you, Forrest, as we have one of our authors on the line here. Would you, because you're always talking about people have skills, they come knocking on your door at the gate or whatever you have.
Would I bring Franklin?
Would you bring, no. Would you bring an author? Is that an important skill for you?
In my group?
A prepping author.
If it's Franklin Horton or Chris Weatherman, Asian American, absolutely. Anyone else? Absolutely not. It's like in my class, I usually teach on groups, and one of my good friends is a lawyer, and I tell him all the time, I'm like, dude, you're just as good as Dad. You have no skills whatsoever in a crap hit the fan world. But an author, see, Horton's got skills.
He does.
He's got the mindset, which the mindset is hard to train. You can have skills, but if you don't have the mindset. And Asian American, I mean, he was on the show alone. He's also an author, and he's got skills.
Right.
So
but it's surprising what you can absorb, though, because I don't know, Forrest, if you heard this story at Heritage Life Skills, but, when that last hurricane hit Florida, Kevin Pierce lives in this neighborhood, and he was telling everybody in the neighborhood what to do. He was like, "You need to be filling bathtubs. You
Yes.
need to be doing this. You need to be doing that." And everybody's like, "Where does he know this stuff?" And they're like, "Oh, it's those books he reads."
Yes, I do remember that. He was just saying that he absorbed the information from. What he does is he gets a Franklin book, Franklin Horton. He reads it one time, and then he records it. And apparently, in doing this so many times with this genre, he remembers this stuff. And he was like, everybody was like, "How do you know this stuff?" So yeah, he's becoming a prepper by just because he's reading it and it's getting sunk into his mind. He's starting to believe.
Through osmosis.
Yeah, exactly. He's starting to believe this stuff. So, did I see a rumor that wasn't supposed to be posted on Facebook today about you finishing something today?
No, I haven't finished anything today. I'm getting close, but I'm not there yet.
Oh, I thought someone posted you finished your next book possibly today, or no, that wasn't you. No,
that was probably wishful thinking on their part. But
Okay,
no,
okay.
I'm not there yet. I've got 1 week left. It's got to be done in the next week.
Okay, in the next week. So, is this going to be a new series or a continuation of Locker 9?
It's the 6th Borrowed World book.
Oh my word!
Yeah.
6. You know, you have a lot to say when you do 6 books.
Yeah.
Hey, this could keep going on. Who knows?
Okay. Well, I know that it was Glenn Tate. He wrote 10, or he's got 10 books out in one series. So you're going to try to beat that?
Well, I thought this was going to be the last one, but as I got closer to the end, I started raising questions that I feel like I'm going to have to answer. So there may have to be another one beyond this.
So, question: Do you not lay it out before you start, or do you just write?
Well, this is a debate that authors have all the time. There are 2 schools of thought. There are outliners, and then there's what they call pantsers, which is people who write by the seat of their pants. and they debate this all the time. And I start with some notes, but I am not one of those people who sits down and charts out the entire thing.
So when you get to the end, you're like, "Wow, I didn't know that was going to happen." It kind of surprises you.
That happens all the time.
Wow, huh? Wow, it's the communication piece I have a problem with. I mean, my mom always said that I had a face for radio and a voice for mimes. I don't know. I don't know what that means. But anyway, yeah, I would love to write books, and I feel like I got the information in my head. I'm just not a very good writer. Now, were you in college or in high school? Were you a writer? I mean, did you know one day you would be writing books?
Oh, yeah, I've worked on this forever. But the problem was, under the old system, you had to have an agent because you couldn't go to a publisher without an agent. They wouldn't even look at your stuff. So I got an English degree. I worked and worked and worked. I wrote 7 novels that I never could sell because I couldn't get an agent. So I gave up and didn't write anything for several years. And then what happened was I guess it was it kind of started around 2012, 2013, 2014. Amazon made this way for authors to publish directly through them without having an agent or a publisher or anything. And that just opened the floodgates for authors who had been waiting for a chance to get their stuff published.
Wow. Huh. Okay. So that's pretty cool. I never knew that, I've been a prepper since really Y2K, but I always thought that I was going to be one of them secret squirrels, them secret preppers, and never get out and tell anybody. And just over time, it kind of changed. You wrote something down?
I did.
You wrote something down.
I never know when you're going to stop talking, so I write.
You must have a question.
No, well, have you been? And this is one of my favorite questions to ask the authors when I get a chance. Is have you been approached for any other anything else, like movies or maybe a comic book or a radio show or anything like that?
Or incredible good podcasts.
Yeah, I get approached a lot about podcasts. As a matter of fact, I've done 3 tonight.
Oh, wow.
But they've all been with you guys.
I bet none. Oh, just with us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Well, no, seriously, how about movies or anything like that? Have you ever been approached?
Well, there is interest in this, but nobody has broken the ice yet. And I think that what happens is when a series breaks through and it becomes a really good post-apocalyptic, non-zombie series, like perhaps Angry American's books, because he's probably worked harder on this than anybody else. I think it's going to open the doors for a lot of other people, because, I had screenplays done in my books at one point just because I wanted to start thinking that way, being able to send them out to producers or anybody that I could corner who I thought may have an interest. But so far, I haven't had anything concrete happen. But, if I get somebody cornered long enough, I'm pitching it.
So, did you ever watch the movie, I think it's, Cloverfield Lane?
Yeah.
Now, that was a cool movie. There was some bad things in there, pretty cool. But at the very end, then they throw in aliens.
Well, because
Of course.
it's based off the original.
I know,
Cloverfield.
but you do an hour and a half movie. In the first hour and 20 minutes, it's got a good plot. Everything's going, and all of a sudden, the last 10 minutes, we got to have aliens in it. I mean, seriously.
But because it connects back.
I know, whatever. Is that J.J. Abrams did that? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
I've got the film background, so that's why.
Yeah. Well, tell us where you're going and what you're doing next, and where people can find you because you on the road, like in shows, and then we'll talk about your website and Facebook and all that stuff later. But where are you going next?
Well, I don't have anything on the calendar right now. I have done every trip I plan on doing. Usually I go to prepper camp in September, but I can't go this year because I have conflict. So you're going to be there on your own representing.
Oh, man.
So right now I'm just working as hard as I can to try to get 4 books out this year. That's my plan. I had Random Acts come out in March. I've got the next Borrowed World book coming out hopefully toward the end of June. Toward the end of summer, I'm hoping to have a book out called The Mad Nick, which is based on a character in Grace Under Fire, which is the second Locker 9 book. And then I've got something in the works for the end of the calendar year. So I'm hoping to get 4 out. Hoping to one day make this a full-time gig, but right now I'm still working a day job.
Yeah, that was my question as well. From that, it's crazy. This is not your full-time gig, and yet you're putting out all these books.
I work full-time. I live on a farm, got kids, stay pretty busy, fit in, sleep when I can, but I stay pretty busy.
That's good thing. And in your books, tell us about your books and where people can buy them.
The books are exclusively through Amazon, but you can get them in for Kindle. You can get paperback versions. You can also get the audiobook on Audible or iTunes. I even sell the signed paperbacks if somebody wants those. If you go to my website, franklinhorton.com, it's got my email address, and people hit me up sometimes if they want a personalized paperback. But the website, I'm not as diligent as I should be about keeping it updated, but Facebook, I'm pretty active on there, so that's a good place to find me. Hit me up on Facebook, and I'm always willing to talk about books and prepping and whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that a friend of mine, he's trying to get to be an author, and I know he's thrown some questions towards you, and you've been gracious enough to answer some of his questions. And so that, you're very available. I've noticed on social media, which is good. That way, people get to know you, understand. Well, I'm not sure if anyone understands you.
Yeah, they're sorry if they do.
But I'm going to miss you at Prepper Camp because every time, you've been there, I think we've been there 4 years now. You've been there all 4 years.
I missed the first year.
Oh, did you? Okay.
But I've always had a blast. It's just they moved it this year to a different weekend, and it created a jam for me.
Gotcha. So we keep writing. I'm going to keep listening, and we'll get Tenderfoot here one day to listen. He's just now listening to Mark Goodwin's book.
Yes.
That I mentioned like 4 months ago. I don't think you're real, man. Our audience is having a problem. They're struggling with you being real. Have you finished that book yet?
No.
It's been a month. I read a book. I'm gonna finish this book because I just started it. I'll finish his book, Random Acts, this week.
He's giving me a hard time, but he knows why I haven't finished.
Oh, well, because you say you have a life, but
Well, you know, I listen when I mow. I stick my earbuds in or headphones and listen when I'm mowing or whatever.
I've been to his house. He doesn't mow.
There goes that.
Actually, I was working on the mower this weekend, and I couldn't fix the problem.
Yeah, it's about waist high right now. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I'm gonna prepper camp. But we're gonna miss you there. But Franklin is I appreciate you coming on. You're the real deal. Your books have been awesome. I'm going to continue to listen. I got to get the Locker 9, and that way you can't shame me anymore.
Well, I appreciate that. And I appreciate you guys having me on. It's a lot of fun. It's always good to see you. Always good to talk to you. So listen to Locker 9 and Grace Under Fire, and then we'll talk again.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the next book we'll have you on, and we're going to have all your friends from, well, not all of them, but a lot of the I don't even know which ones to choose. But for the next, literally 2 months, I've got an author on every week.
Well, they're a lively bunch, so there's some entertaining folks.
Oh, there is. I mean, some have already warned me about my PG-13 rating. I may have to change that.
Yeah, I was on my best behavior today.
Yeah, and Boyd was messaging me while we're recording this, by the way, in Facebook. And so,
yeah, he's an instigator.
Okay, yeah. So, but hey, everyone go franklinhorton.com, go to Amazon, look up the Locker 9 Borrowed World series, Random Acts. He's an asset to the prepping community. Have you ever been called that?
Man. I've been called similar things.
Well, it's awesome, Franklin, to have you on here. I appreciate you coming on, and I can't wait to have you again. And I probably will have to, I don't know, make fun of you with some of these other guys that we're going to have on, but
I can take it.
Yeah, you can take it for sure. Well, thanks for coming on, and we appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, guys. See you next time.
Yep. Hey, guys, that was Franklin Horton. You just go out and buy his books. I mean, that's all we can say. Go buy his books, listen to them. You'll learn stuff. You'll get to know, the characters, and you'll start caring about the characters, which is so weird. And I think the audio, I'm a big audio guy because I drive a lot.
Yeah.
But the way Kevin Pierce reads it, you're like, and he kind of changes his voice. So when he's reading, who he's...
Right,
who it is. It's pretty cool. That's why I listen to so many books. I listened to I think last year was like over 100 books.
Wow.
I know. And I've been trying to catch up on the Boyds and Angry Americans. Once you start a series, you try to finish it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Franklin for a long time has been giving me a hard time.
But and I'm getting into doing that. Like I actually read.
I read too.
And you're getting me into listening, which is very helpful because I am getting more books done.
Uh-huh.
And so, but I'm like, oh my goodness, my library looks so crazy.
I can't read.
No, my library is so different than yours, though.
Yeah.
So you definitely.
Yeah, you got Calvin and Hobbes and Peanuts.
No. I do have some comic books. I do.
Really? What's wrong with you?
I got the Walking Dead comics.
Okay. Well, guys, hey, this is the Prepping Academy. I know it. Tenderfoot, I apologize. I always hog the questions on these interviews.
No, you're awesome. No, I think I had plenty of time to come in.
But I hog them because I don't know, because I know them, I read their books.
Yeah, you got excited.
And Franklin and I have been friends for a while, and our last interview that we did, I think we've done 2. The last one, it's one of my most listened to podcasts. Alan Kay from Alone, Alan Kay won Alone, I think 2nd season, by far the biggest top listened podcast.
Yeah.
But Franklin was right there, Angry American, I think, right there, and he even said this, that apparently, I don't know how they searched, but a lot of people have listened to that one, because when we went to the show in Heritage Life Skills, I actually was standing there talking to Franklin, and people walk up and said, "Hey, I listened to you, unbelievable interview," which I'm like, oh, I wonder what show this is going to be, and it was mine, and I'm like, really? Mine? So anyway.
Maybe it was unbelievable because I wasn't on that show at that time.
And now we've degraded from mediocre to okay.
Oh man, it's been fun, and he was great. All these authors that we've had on have been great, and I'm looking forward to it. So
we had so much technical difficulty.
We did, but that wasn't you, or
Wait, that second time was okay. So we interviewed him literally twice.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, we halfway through it, we actually had to stop and go, okay, we got a little technical problem, and we're not even sure how good this is going to turn out. Because instead of using Blog Talk Radio and the software that I purchased to do this kind of stuff, it was apparently broke. Right. We used a smartphone and a recording device.
Yes.
So we hope it sounds good. If it doesn't sound good, tough. We can't do anything about it. We could do it again. But we actually did interview him twice. This is kind of like after the show closes, because we did. I mean, I asked him some of the same questions.
But it made us sound so much more prepared.
Yeah, I know. Maybe we do that all the time. Hey, by the way, thanks for that interview. Hey, can we start all over? Now that we've practiced and we know what you're talking about.
Oh man!
And we were going to record 2 shows tonight, and it took us 2 hours to do 1 show.
Yes. Yeah.
He slams me. He goes, "I've already done 3 podcasts tonight."
You gotta love this show. If you are a listener, obviously you are because you're listening right now. You gotta love this show. Yeah. Tell others about us.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Give us a good rating on Apple. If not, we'll hunt you down.
Yeah. And if you've got Google Play, do that.
And send us money.
Yeah.
Just randomly.
Just keep asking for that. It's going to happen one day.
Just send us money. I mean, hundreds of dollars. I mean, just send the checks. I mean, that's how we make money. Well, we don't really make money at this, do we?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Hey, we are at the Prepping. That's with the ING. PreppingAcademy.com. You can go and register there. We're giving away 10 Sawyer water filters. 10. Can
I get one?
No. You're not eligible. We don't really have rules like that, but they always they have that disclaimer. We don't really have that, so we could. I'll give myself 5, and you take 5.
There you go. That's not cool. That's not.
No. The Sawyer's going to mail them out. The way I did it last time was put it in the spreadsheet and did a random number. So I used another tool on the internet that just gives me a random number between 1 and how many subscribers we have, and then that's how I did it last time. I thought that was fair.
Yeah.
Or if you send money in, if you send $20 in, we'll send you a water filter. You could be a winner. Is this what they call $20?
That's it.
Walmart.
We'll do it.
But you see, then. No, that's just unfair. I'm not going to talk like that. That's crazy. $20. Okay, Prepping Academy. Oh, is that rolling your fingers?
What? You're not supposed to tell him what I'm doing.
Is that what yeah. He's doing signals like, okay, end this. Okay, PreppingAcademy.com. Go and subscribe. You'll be registered for a giveaway. And next week, let's see who we're going to have next week. I'm going to bring this up. And this is going to be live recorded. What is next week? By the way, what's the date? Come on, the 14th should be 21st.
Well, I've got my phone is occupied right now.
Okay. Next week is Angry American. Boom! He's going to be on next week, May 21st. That's AA American Chris Weatherman. He was on the show alone. So, anyway, we're out of here.
Back.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Hey, preppingacademy.com. Y'all take care.
See ya.
Is that all? See you.
Tenderfoot out.
That's better.
Thanks for listening to the Prepping Academy podcast. Preppers Unite at www.preppingacademy.com.
Has your data been hacked? Do you feel uneasy about the vulnerability of your personal information online? Were you involved in the Target, LinkedIn, or Microsoft data leaks? Don't know? If not, then pay attention. Join Forrest Garvin from PrepperNet for a free webinar on privacy and security. Gain insights into safe internet browsing, VPNs, crafting online aliases, secure emails, detecting if your data has been hacked, and managing passwords. Secure your spot today for this webinar on privacy and security. It's free. This webinar delves into comprehensive strategies for bolstering your online privacy. We've got you covered, from fortifying your passwords to shielding your financial information and mastering state-of-the-art encryption techniques. We're offering 2 convenient dates to suit your schedule. Reserve your spot now at preppernet.com/privacy. Don't let cyber threats erode your peace of mind any longer. Take the first step toward a safer, more secure online experience by joining us for our free webinar. Remember, knowledge is power when it comes to safeguarding your privacy. Sign up now at preppernet.com/privacy. We'll see you there.